Welcome to Architect Forum. Today we are going to talk about architecture design process. Before that, if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for new updates. Also don't forget to like and share the video. Let's start with what is design process. The design process is an approach for breaking down a large project into manageable chunks. Architects use the design process to solve a variety of problems. One design project could have numerous solutions. First step is introduction of project. This is the project for you to design. There could be different types of project for which client approaches architect. Residence, office building, hotels, school, college, church, and so on. Each design has specific needs and requirements. For example, in residence design you need to know about family member, their number, age, and profession. Room and space information, layout consistent with family lifestyle. Architecture style, traditional or contemporary. Priority, low cost, green concept, or any specific requirement and budget, to determine the whole design. So, the next step we do is site analysis. Prior to start any design, it has to be made sure whether construction on the site is viable or not. Every site, like every person, is unique and the purpose for which it is to be used should be clearly understood. Site analysis is the process of surveying or studying the existing environment and how it will influence the design and layout on the site. First we need to know the general site information such as site location and site area. Many other factors are involved in the analysis of the site which we will discuss one by one. First is the natural factors in which we collect the information of geology, topography, hydrography, soil, vegetation and climate factors. In geology, the type of rock below the surface of soil, the depth, and the characteristic features of rock should be identified. Such rocks could act as a foundation for many buildings. These are natural and could form visible landforms. The stability of such geological formations is also important to decide the structure of the building. The form of land is called its topography. This is the most important factor to be analyzed. Here you can see three types of landform: gentle to steep slope. We can construct our building according to slope, or we may cut or fill as per our requirement. However, cut and fill is an expensive process. Hydrography provides information about all types of water bodies present in and around the site. Lakes, streams, any marshy land, swamps, or natural wells are some of the water source that may be present around the site. It also reveals the availability of water in that area or otherwise of a groundwater table and the depth at which it is available. In soil, different types of soil present are analyzed. Soil decides the stability of land, foundation, suitability, excavation, erosion, drainage, and plant growth, as the topsoil is essential for good plant growth. The bearing capacity of soil is an important factor to be considered while locating buildings. The natural vegetation present on the site is very important. Any good design will integrate it into the design, highlight and accentuate it to create a harmonious whole. All the vegetation present in site should be marked onto the site plan. Along with the location, the type of trees, the size of the trees, diameter or spread of the branches, heights, etc. are to be identified. Different trees have different characteristics: the spread of leaves, the speed of growth, the spread of roots, falling of leaves, water requirement, soil nourishment, etc. The ecology of the area should also be examined to know what plants or shrubs would grow in that area. In climatic factors, all climatic information such as rainfall, snowfall, wind directions, temperatures, sun path, all considered during the different times of the year. This has an important role in design of the building. After natural factor, we analyze following in cultural factors: zoning and ordinances, traffic and transit, linkage and circulation, utilities, surrounding land use and buildings, historic factors, context. Zoning dictates many aspects of land use and architectural design. An area may be classified into residential, commercial, institutional, industrial zone, mixed use or conservation zone. This determines in which zone your plot is located. You have to follow the set of rules for these zones. Also setback, right-of-way, floor area ratio and maximum ground coverage and others rules stated in bylaws gives a clear understanding of guidelines you have to follow. It is important to know existing vehicle movement patterns, major and minor roads, bus routes and stops. Future traffic and road developments should also be considered. Proximity to major transport hub should also be noted. What services are available to site comes under utilities. You should note location of all services such as electricity, gas, water, sewer, telephone, internet and cable. This includes both underground and above ground. Also note the location of power poles. Drainage and trash collection. If the land uses are incompatible, it may lead to creation of issues in the design. For example, if the adjoining building to our site is school, we have to think about blocking the noise by creating a barrier. Also, the height and setbacks of adjacent buildings are important in affecting the flow of air and also sunlight. In historic factors, we collect information of any nearby historical buildings or any historic, heritage, conservation area and of course the landmark. Context is very important to make decision what type of design we can propose. If the context is urban, all the desired material and technology is easily available, whereas it may not be the case in suburban. In rural, we may have to depend upon locally available material and labors. The third factor in site analysis is aesthetic factors, or we may call it sensory factor, which includes views, noise, odor, pollution. In views, we consider two types of views: views from the site and views into the site. Both are important factors while designing. Power lines, water tower, certain industrial complexes, highways, advertisement boards, junkyards, waste dumps, etc., are some examples of eyesore elements that have to be taken into account. Possible auditory nuisance, produced by heavy automobiles, trains, air traffic, etc., and the surrounding population has to be studied. If the site is located near industrial buildings that produce levels of pollution or exposed to air pollution from vehicle or factories, or near dumping or landfill site producing bad odor, all should be noted to find the remedy in design phase. Now the next process in design is literature review. Here, you gather information related to your project existing in a wide variety of stored formats. It is done not only at the beginning of the project but throughout the design process. For literature review, resources may be books, journals, periodicals, articles, newspaper, conference proceedings, magazines, dissertation, and so on. Where to find these resources? We can surf internet, go to library, archives, or any organization related to our project. Literature review should not simply be description of what you have read, but instead you should be able to draw the findings and state why this is important to your project. So, at the end you have to analyze and evaluate existing information. You can do literature review of construction technology, material, architecture style, color concept, space planning, zoning and bylaws, building science, and many more. In architecture, most important literature review is of anthropometrics. Standard data book could be consulted for this. Anthropometry is the branch of human science that studies the physical measurement of human body, particularly shape and size. It is essential part of design process. They are adopted to fit the dimension of human body and motion. The books easily available are Net Effort, Architect's Data, Time Saver Standard for Building Types, Interior Design, and Space Planning. One of the important architecture design process is case studies. It is the study of a particular case that is similar to your topic of design project. Doing a case study will help you understand the various aspects that you have to consider while designing. Case studies could be done through primary sources of data collection, which is collected by a researcher from first-hand sources, using methods like surveys, interviews, while in secondary sources of data collection, architect collects data and information directly from available primary sources. What to analyze in case studies? First is the location of selected case, which includes geographical location, adjacent land uses, and accessibility, environment and microclimate. Analyzing the surrounding environment and the microclimate of that place will help understand the reason of the orientation of the structure, the kind of roof chosen, and the materials used in its construction. User behavior and requirements. Studying the functioning of a particular place is very important, without which we will not be able to figure out the requirements and the area that should be allotted for each of the requirements. The spatial relations between the functions, their size and proportion. Talking to people living in that building will help to figure out if the requirements that are provided are adequate and the area that is allotted is sufficient for its efficient working. Utility and space enhancement. Study of utilitarian facilities. Various measures taken to enhance a particular space should be analyzed. Form and function. Analyzing the reason behind the form of that particular building, and how it merges with the surrounding environment. The form of the building should be able to convey the function of the building. The spatial relations between the functions, their size and proportion is of utmost importance. Horizontal and vertical circulation, their position and size are also important to know the flow of the people in and around the building. Horizontal circulation includes corridors and lobbies, while vertical circulation includes elevators, staircases, ramps, escalators, etc. Also note circulation within the site, both pedestrian and vehicular. In site planning and landscape detailing, we understand the arrangement of structures on the land and spaces between them, and also note any unique site feature. What materials and construction technology are used and why, should also be noted. Measure the allotted parking area on site and compare it with the areas specified in Time Savers standards. Conducting a case study is hard work. Sometimes, it is so small, it could be done in days, but on other occasions, it takes weeks to document and compile all the data. It involves going on site, meeting and talking to people, lots of traveling and plenty of photography. Through cases 2D we learn from reality, actual stuff, as opposed to only theoretical knowledge. Program formulation or design program. Architect works closely with the client in order to clearly understand their user needs. The architect then produces a design program in which the characteristics that the new building must have in order to satisfy the identified needs. Its style or overall appearance. How it relates to its surroundings. The program also includes design requirements. In design requirements, we analyze number of things such as space list, the functional area that are to be provided. Sizes and dimensions, the floor area, area statement. Proximity relationship, how close the spaces must be to each other and the type of access between them. Fixture and fittings, detailed built-in features and equipment to support the functions of space. Special features, anything special that must be provided in order for the spaces to function properly. Budget, total cost of the project divided into individual cost element. Project schedule, critical dates and lengths of time required for various parts of the design and construction work. This is the summary of all the spaces required with area. At the end we calculate total built-up area and its percentage coverage on site. One thing we should always keep in mind that our design should be barrier-free design so that it is equally accessible for differently abled people because accessibility is the right of every individual. For this we can provide ramp, tactile surface, easy circulation for wheelchair and proper signage. Now with all the information and required analysis we are ready for conceptual design. A concept is an idea, an approach to the design. It is the foundation of design project and one which drives the project forward. It becomes the force and identity behind a project's progress and is consistently consulted throughout every stage of its development. It follows a project from beginning to end and remains as important at the start as it is at the finish. An architectural concept can be described as an idea, notion, opinion, abstraction, philosophy, belief, inspiration, thought, intention, theory, image, plan, or hypothesis. You can generate the concept from almost anything but has to be logical. You can generate from the site considering climate, orientation, views, access, context, history, use, or from design briefs such as client and building requirements, accommodation, functional requirement, and construction budget or building typology. But can also be generated in full or in part by building program, culture, place, society, technology, emotion, sense, personal architectural influences, memory, and precedent research. However, site analysis plays a huge role in architectural concept generation and development. Design concepts will and should influence the whole project, and include the exterior and interior including orientation, massing, form, apertures, height, light. The landscape both hard and soft surfaces, types of planting, scale of planting, arrangement of planting, finishes, colors, styles, textures, materials. Fixtures and fittings, style, scale, amount, material. Structure, light, heavy, traditional, modern, vernacular. Materials, colors, hard or soft, weathering, types, styles, locally sourced. Why generate a concept? A strong architecture concept gives the architect a clear direction and framework when making design decisions. Concept open door for more related ideas, makes you think and research. Concepts are what distinguish architects. Yes, anyone might be able to design functionally with experience, but your creativity is what makes you special. Now the next process in architecture design is design development. First phase of design is schematic design and it doesn't go into much detail. It includes site layout and zoning, the interior spaces and develop basic exterior designs. Schematic design can also be done through the use of bubble diagram. The creation of bubble diagram illustrates the approximate size and relative position of spaces both horizontally and vertically. Detailing out the bubble diagrams into two-dimensional rough schematic floor plan layouts and three-dimensional massing models, by incorporating specified floor areas critical dimensions of spaces. Study of massing model. The pros of study of massing model is that it gives the real picture of location of building relative to property lines, topography, and other physical features. The orientation of the building to sun, wind, other buildings and surroundings and also access to and from the building site. Making adjustments to schematic plans and massing models to closely integrate the building and site. The building is shaped to fit the site and or the site is altered to accommodate the building. Number of alternative designs are generated checking that the requirements of the design program are generally being satisfied. The alternative schematic designs are presented to the client who comments on, select and approves the best design alternative for further elaboration in the design development stage of the process. Now we proceed to detail design. In response to the client's comment and needs, the schematic design is developed to a greater level of detail. This phase involves finalizing the design and specifying such items as materials, window and door locations and general structural details. Space plan is worked out in detail to ensure that the layout of the interior and circulation spaces will allow the building to function the way it is intended to. In this stage, architect coordinates with other professionals who are responsible for different aspects of the building. These include engineers such as structure, electrical, sanitary, mechanical and landscape architects who design the grading, drainage, planting and site features outside the building. This phase concludes when the interior and exterior design of the building is locked in by the owner and architect. Once the client reviews and approves the design now proceeds for final work. Here we produce two types of drawing. First, municipal building permit process, which is a complete set of architecture drawings, structure drawing and analysis, electrical and sanitary to seek the permission from concerned authority for construction. Second, the working drawing, which are drawings with much more detail used for construction of project. This is a combination of graphics that is drawings and written information such as notes, schedules, and specification. Architecture drawing consists of site plan, all floor plans, all elevation and section. Other required drawings are structure drawing, sanitary drawings, and electrical drawings. This is the example of working drawing where all the dimension of each elements are given along with specification. Apart from these black and white drawing, you could also produce 2D and 3D rendered drawing for presentation. These are generally done when architects have to present their design to client or for some commercial purposes. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more related content on architecture. See you in next video.